Nagaland Agitation, denial of women's rights cannot be a measure of the state's autonomy. Why Nagaland is burning with protests all over. What it means, the Article 371A of the Indian Constitution, special status to Nagaland? Is it constitutional to exempt Nagaland from the purview of Part 9 of the Constitution? How important is the inclusive participation of women in Indian context? GS Paper 1, Role of Women and Women's Organization. Why Nagaland is burning with protests all over. The Nagaland civic bodies elections were announced in December 2016, which has been followed by extensive protests by traditional tribal bodies against the government. Announcement of civic bodies election was followed by the 33% reservation of seats for women. The contention of traditional tribal bodies is that granting 33% reservation for women would infringe on Naga customary laws and tradition as protected under Article 371A of the Constitution of India. The Nagaland government went ahead with an assembly resolution and issued notifications for elections and women's reservations despite the mass majority appealing to the government not to do so. This has worsened the situation further. What it means, the Article 371A of the Indian Constitution, special status to Nagaland? Article 371A is a special provision granted to the state of Nagaland as a partial fulfillment of the 1960 agreement that later created the state in 1963. In this regard, not only the customary law, social practice and belief of the people of Nagaland, but also the resources of the state is verdantly remain safeguarded from the intervention of the union government and its various policies, unless the state assembly so decides by resolution. The governor under this subject remains a pivot apostle between the union and the state, resolving to several provisions determining the administration, law and order, legislature and the monetary policy of the state. Is it constitutional to exempt Nagaland from the purview of Part 9 of the Constitution? The Nagaland government has decided to write to the centre demanding that Nagaland be exempted from Part 9A of the Constitution. Part 9A of the Constitution contains a mandatory provision under Article 243T for 33% women reservation in ULBs. If Nagaland is exempted from the purview of Part 9 of the Constitution, Naga women will have absolutely no hope of entering into and participating in decision-making bodies. Thus it is much unconstitutional to turn down the constitutionally guaranteed rights of Naga women. How important is the inclusive participation of women in Indian context? Women in India participate in voting, run for public offices and political parties at lower levels more than men. The idea behind these provisions is to ensure participation of women in decision-making at this level and have financial autonomy at the grassroots level with local body grants and special funds by the state government. In rural areas, the women participation has helped improve local governance, enhancing outcomes in delivery of civic services related to drinking water supply, sanitation and irrigation, among others. In urban local bodies, the visible impact has been more quantitative in terms of representation rather than qualitative, with success being linked to emphasis on gender sensitization by civil society and political parties.